Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 52 of the Reptile Rejects podcast. This evening we got on Randy Pegues from Stoic Arboreals. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah, it's Piggies. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sweet. Heard it a couple times, so
Yeah, no
I should
problem.
know it by now. How are
Right
you
on.
doing tonight, Dominic?
Pretty good, pretty good. It was a bit of a rush to try to get here. Wednesday is definitely not a good night for doing podcasts, but I'm here. I made it, and yeah, so I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk mainly boas today, probably some green trees as well. So it should be a pretty good show.
Yeah, right on.
Anything with you? Anything you, buddy?
Uh, well, I got a prelay from the black milk snake, and another prelay from the other suboc. And I think the first suboc that had her shed is gonna lay, I don't know, anytime in the next week. So yeah, everything else is good. So yeah, I got some egg boxes ready, and yeah, nothing too much. What about you? Anything else hatch out or
Yeah, it's
still?
not bad. I still got three females that I'm on the lookout. There's one that laid the one slug like 10 days ago. So the fact that she pushed out one slug, I know she's got something in her. She's probably around day 24 now post ovulation. So she should lay anytime. That's a ocelot zebra jungle carpet. And I got another female that is full of eggs that shed about 3 days ago, and I can feel them. So that would be a Papuan that is bred. She should produce marbles. She's a proven exanthic het granite, but the male is another male that I used again. Instead of using my proven male, I'm using a unproven. I think he's exanthic, 66% possible granite. So I've kind of used all my extra possible ones because I just want to prove them all out or disprove them to thin down the army. And I'll be honest, I'm doing all that for absolutely nothing because as of next year, I've got a trio of, well, I'll say subadult exanthic granites. So a 2-year-old male and two 3-year-old females. So realistically, I don't even know why I'm keeping everything back. They'll probably all be moving out once I can do it. And yeah, except for that, I'm just panicking. My little pygmy python is still on eggs. It's been about a week, and I have no idea how they're doing. I can't see the eggs. The box that she decided to put herself into, all I can see is just a little bit through a door, and I can see just red, and it looks like she's coiled around eggs. When I temp her, she's temping at about 86, but when I've actually pulled out and I actually tempt the eggs, they were like 87.8 or something like that. So it looks like she's doing good, but for all I know, they're already dead, all dried
Yeah.
up, and I'm doing really badly. MI is not for me. I'm telling you, I fucking hate every single second of it. I don't know why people do it. I don't know what the idea is. Like, it's so easy to control it all on your own. So to me,
Yeah.
it's just stress for no reason. I mean, and it's a clutch that I'll be honest with you, I don't care much. I've produced 5 or 6 clutches of pygmy is now, and I just want to try MI. And I told myself if I lose them all, I lose them all. But it'd be nice to get them. But then raising them up, I end up losing 50%, if not 70%, to just trying to get them to feed past the 6 month stage. So I figured it's a good one to try. But I don't know, man. Like I think I would need a setup where I can open a bin and temp it every once a week and actually look at the eggs. There is no way for me to go look at the eggs without taking the entire like plastic bin and pull it fully out and taking a look at it. So for that reason, I'm just leaving it alone. But I don't know. I'm wetting the cage around, but not the actual lead box, hoping that the humidity's going. But again,
Yeah. Well, the
I've been
females
breeding.
will go like I think I heard from some guys that the females will go in the water bowl if they need to and kind of get themselves humid, and then they'll wrap back around the eggs. Same as how you might get her to eat, right? Like she might you might get her to come off the eggs and eat. You probably would want to try that maybe more at the end, so they're not
Yeah,
you don't risk them pooping on the eggs, but I'm sure they
it's hard to
kind
say.
of might
I
know what they're doing. It's hard to tell. I guess it
haven't
depends on
seen
the
her
egg.
leave the eggs yet. So, but it's only been a week, right? So
That's a good
again,
experience, though.
they're probably like dried raisins right now. So I'm just gonna assume that the whole
Yeah, just be
thing's gonna completely
pessimistic
flop.
and Yeah. Prepare for the
I
worst.
I'd be optimistic if it was in an incubator.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
there's just no
You've done
control. I
it.
literally do not know what's going on in that bin. I hate
No.
everything about it. I'm
It's
gonna
good.
love it if I see eggs like little heads
But
coming out and I can take a picture of it.
but
But
for
right now, I
people,
hate it.
but you're the type of person that likes a challenge. That's why you even tried that, So when you have done it so many times, you have to do something that pushes you past that limit again. That's how most of us start to get.
Yeah, fair enough. I kind of agree. I'll be
Hmm.
honest. The main reason I did it is because it's been years that I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I always chicken out or I always see eggs. I'm like, oh, I got to put that in the incubator. And this year, I was like, I said I would do it. I have
Yep.
to do it. So
It's gonna be bragging rights too.
yeah, I don't even know if they're.
Well, it'd be
I
pretty
mean,
cool to do Perthensis as a
Yeah,
yeah,
to take a picture with little heads poking out of the inner coils.
yeah, and then you just put a loony beside it and just show
Well,
how tiny
that's
they are.
something. I like the picture of the mother on eggs in your hand, and it's covering only like half your hand. Like that's a pretty classic picture. I've done that every single year. This year I didn't because I'm trying not to disturb her too much. But
yeah.
um, yeah, so basically that's my update. I mean, it's only been like 4 days since we did a podcast, right? So not much else. I don't think my diamonds are going to go this year. She's still a little bit like she's 6 feet, but she's I don't know, like the size around as a golf ball. Like she's not
Yeah.
that big, but her head is finally starting to build up. So next year is going to be a good year. Roughies don't look good. They're almost too big now. I think I've fed the crap out of it, hoping that it would get them to go. But now I might need to like starve them over the summer because they're pretty much ready to go for next year already. They've got a little bit too much on the too much on the muffin top.
Yeah. Well, you could
So
you could always kind of lean them out with some infrequent small meals kind of thing, or more frequent tiny
I've
meals, something like that, to
I've
get their
got
metabolism going, but they're going to burn calories instead of gaining calories, kind of thing. You could try that, and then
I've
hit
got
them
a
hit
couple
them
of
in the fall.
packs of chicks.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm.
Okay,
What's new with
pretty
you
good.
this time of year, Randy?
Well, actually, this time of year is a little bit different for me. Normally, this time of year is going to be heavy breeding seasons. My tree boas are always spring breeders, so I kind of get everything prepped and ready. Start pairing stuff up, kind of preliminary in January, February. Typically, I don't start seeing stuff until around March or later. Um, it just seems like that we're getting like warmer and warmer winters up here. So I've noticed that things are going a little bit later. So I've started seeing things in like more like May and June now. Um, but I mean, whatever. But right now, I actually just bought some property. So I moved out here in October, and I'm kind of fixing up one of my shops for a reptile room. So I have to move them again. So they're going to be disturbed quite a bit. I do have some things paired up, and I have seen some locks. I'm not too optimistic about it, but that's kind of this we kind of keep it pessimistic a little bit, and then just kind of see what happens. I just throw them together, and that's why I like the tree boas is because they're fairly easy to breed. I tell people when they ask me like, how do you get these things to produce every year, and it's just like you just throw them together and just you're patient and you feed them. You separate them to feed them, put them back together, and you just keep doing that. They don't. You can cycle them to get like better, yields and stuff like that. But the thing is like they want to reproduce. Most of these animals do. We just kind of have to step out of the way and let them do their thing. We think that we need to control these things all the time, and the longer you start doing this stuff, the more you realize that they will do this themselves, regardless of these little tweaks that I think that I need to make. So I started doing less and less as I matured in my keeping, and just kind of let them do their thing. You know, I live up here in the Pacific Northwest, so I've had people like Nick Mutton and Ryan Young and Mark Goyer and all these guys in my ear. So I've kind of just taken a lot of the same approaches to things. Keep it smaller, feed it leaner meals. Don't feed it all year round. That kind of stuff. So yeah, this time of year, it's moving stuff in. I should be finished with that snake room This weekend I should be finished up. I'm hoping I can start moving in Sunday, Monday, but then I have people visiting me, so that might take up a little time too.
So
So
before you continue and get too far out, can I just go back on one thing you said? So just so I understand, do you mean that like you're reducing the extremes of your cycles, like maybe like not going down as low as you used to be? Not is that what you mean by like you're reducing the?
no, I
No,
with my cycling, what I do is I don't necessarily do that stuff anymore. What I do is I just keep the window cracked, and sometimes a
you're
year it's
letting the
cracked even
environment do it.
more, and I just let the outside elements kind of dictate what's going on. I like to use the little Casa Wi-Fi timers, and you can just set your lights and stuff up to the same sunrise sunset schedule as the outside, and I just let things kind of do their thing. You know, even if you have the thermostat set typically at a specific temperature, it's going to range within the room, and then within the time of year. It's going to work harder one time of year than the other time of the year, so things are going to dry out or stay a little bit more humid. Like up here in the Pacific Northwest, summers is, you know, it's not bad with the humidity, but then the wintertime it just sucks it out. You know, it gets cold, and it's just the humidity is really hard to keep up. So run a humidifier and that kind of stuff to combat those things.
Yeah.
And how far north are you? Just so I know.
I don't know if people are familiar with Washington State, but there's actually some islands here on the northwest side. So I live just under the San Juan Islands on a large island called Whidbey Island.
Yeah,
Let me
not
ask
too
it
far
differently.
from where
How
I
far?
was.
I was going to say, how far from Canada are you? You're just a few hundred kilometers or
Yeah,
80
probably
miles?
like
No.
it was probably like a 2 hour drive.
Okay, so
Oh, it
you're
is
pretty
2 hours?
far up.
I thought it was a lot.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, because you have to ferry, or is there a
yeah.
bridge?
Well, no, on the north end we have Deception Pass, so we can do
Oh,
Deception Pass to Fidalgo over the Twin Bridges to the mainland,
oh,
and
okay.
then we can just go up straight from there on I-5.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was like a lot closer because like Bellingham
Hmm.
is always like, oh, that's only like 20 minutes away, kind of thing. But
Yeah,
obviously
I
it's a
mean,
little
like,
longer. But
maybe not 2 hours in because I can get to Bellingham in like an hour,
oh, okay.
15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
I guess it depends how busy the border is, kind of thing. But
mhm.
yeah, yeah. It's the well, yeah, because you guys. I remember my parents said it didn't even snow this year, or like maybe you guys
No,
got.
it was exactly no, it was pretty warm, and it doesn't snow very often here on the island. We kind of stay pretty insulated because of the water around us, and just the way that it's kind of like its own little microclimate. So we typically stay between like 35 and 75 like all year round. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
perfect here. Yeah. We will get like maybe a week or two of snow, and then like a week or two of temperatures above 85,
yeah.
which is super rare.
Yeah, I know. Once you get out in the Fraser Valley, it's like it'll be
Mhm.
28 in Vancouver, and it'll be like 33 out in Chilliwack, kind of thing.
Mm,
It's just like, but if you're in the sun, it feels kind of hot no matter where it is. But yeah, no,
yeah.
I love the Pacific Northwest in terms of it's that like never too hot, never too cold. Usually,
Yeah,
you
it's
get
gorgeous up here, and when it gets, I'm just acclimated. I grew up in California, Texas, Florida, but when I came up here, my dad was a Navy pilot. I just never wanted to leave. It's so temperate and cool, and a little bit more laid back than a lot of places, and yeah. So I just kind of found a home here, and I never even knew about this place, and it's gorgeous. Step outside, and there's coyotes down my road, or deer in my yard, and rabbits, and all kinds of birds, and owls in my backyard. It's gorgeous up here.
oh yeah, yeah, everywhere in the Pacific Northwest, Dominic. You need to make your way back there at some point.
Hmm. Oh, have you lived up
Maybe
here?
someday. Pardon me?
Have you lived up here?
I mean, I've been to the Pacific
Hmm.
Northwest. I've been a couple of times, but I live on the east side, so I'm basically just under Pennsylvania, New York ish area.
Okay.
So like we're in that little part of Canada that kind of dips down into the United States. So
Oh,
some
gotcha.
places in the United States are actually more northern than us.
Okay.
So, but I mean, if you look at Canada, 90% of the entire population lives within 100 kilometers from the border of the United
Hmm.
States, right?
Right.
Like nobody likes to go where it's too cold, so it kind of
Hmm.
sucks. So,
Yeah.
but so just going back on your cycling, I wonder if your train of thought would be different if you lived in Texas, right? Because if you lived in Texas, you wouldn't have your room that would be automatically changing to a certain degree, right? So you're able to follow your outside environment. Let's be honest, is still cycling for you,
Hmm.
right? So I just
Yep.
feel like I get that you're not purposely or pushing it more and more, but you do have the environment that really helps you.
Yeah,
Like
and
I probably have similar temperature, and I mean my outside is really helping me all the time.
yeah, but any almost anywhere in the United States is going to have a temperature swing between winter and summer here. I mean, maybe Key West, but even then, I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas, and it got cold. I lived in Jacksonville, Florida, and it got cold there too. So just the change at all, even if it's hot, like dry or wet, or hot or cold, just those subtle changes is what I'm saying is they do cycle. I don't force a cycle. I allow things to naturally happen. And I just kind of use that to my advantage and I don't try to fight it.
Yeah,
That's all.
exactly. You're just kind of letting it roll and
Mhm.
rolling with it, and kind of.
Yeah, I want to make things easy. I'm a really busy guy. I have 3 businesses and 5 kids, and they all play sports. And I'm married, and she's, at least she's taken this year off. She was a select soccer coach as well, as full time behavioral specialist. So we're just all over the place all the time. So my snakes are kind of my free time away from stuff, and I want to make it easy and fun and be able to enjoy my animals and not so much nitpick stuff. Like I kind of find the easy ways around stuff to still figure it out. Like I used to do saltwater reef and corals, and my tank was gorgeous. I built it in the wall, and it was like immaculate. No algae at all except for coralline algae. It was just amazing. SPS coral, everything. But I didn't measure everything out. I didn't do it precisely. I find ways to kind of figure it out without having to overthink things. I have discus fish now that are built into my wall right here in front of me. I rarely do a water change. There's a lot of things that you can do that people think that you have to do in order to achieve results. And I think that we need to stop overthinking everything. We That's not going to happen. We're still going to overthink, but I think we need to slow down on really trying to change things up all the time, especially if we're getting good results.
Yeah, for sure. And you also find, like you say, you find those little things that it's like, well, you don't need a water change because I got like you get a big enough filter, to
Plants,
add
yep.
more plants.
Overfilter,
Exactly.
UV, yep. You
Not
figure a
overfeed too
way,
much and not
yeah,
overstock
and
it.
then exactly, like I don't overfeed. I have way over filtration. Like on this tank in the wall, it's like 3 filters. 2 of them have UV lights on them. Tons of plants everywhere. A big soil bed with tons of crushed coral and aqua soil and all kinds of stuff that like help balance the water levels and stuff and make it stable. So you try to find ways, whether it be fish keeping or reptile keeping or anything, that you try to like just make things easier for yourself. You automate stuff, so there's automated lights or misting systems, stuff like that, like just to make it more enjoyable. That's what I try to do, and then just let things do what they do.
Yeah, for sure. So, what does your collection kind of consist of right now? I guess we can probably skip the general how you got into it, because I know you've done a few of these, right? I remember your THP, and then obviously you've been on you've been on Jeremy's, and then you've been on Trap Talk. So yeah, you've definitely
Yeah,
done
yeah.
it a
I've,
few
I've been on
times.
quite a few podcasts. I enjoy just talking about animals. I don't get to do it as much in my professional life. It's mainly like construction or stuff like that, and it's kind of just fun to stop and actually talk about something I really am passionate about. And that's the animals. They come first, and they're obviously my family comes first, but my animals are really something uh, that is I just have a love for. So I go out there and I just take care of them, and that helps calm my anxiety and my stress from all the business related stuff, and that's kind of why I keep doing it regardless if I have a good or bad season.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta have that balance in life, kind of thing, and that's what we all
Mhm.
have to find, and why most of us do this hobby in the first place. So, yeah,
Yep.
I'd agree. The only thing is, though, sometimes you got to figure out what you're like. It took me a while to figure out the collection size that was really the right balance, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
when your life is too busy and then you're dreading, like, oh my God, when am I going to find time to clean the animals or
Yep.
things like that? And you're like, oh my God, well, and
Mhm.
eventually you start slowing down or you start changing. And it took me a while to figure out the when I was stopping. And
Mhm. I know
I've
where you're
had
coming
a,
for.
yeah, I've had a certain set amount of cages, and I haven't bought or grown an extra cage in
Mhm.
probably about 5 or 6 years now, and I don't want any extra
Yep.
because I don't. I think anything more is just going to stress me out, and it's going to be too much. So by not buying more cages, if I want to bring something in,
Mhm.
something needs to leave.
Yep. No, I completely agree with that. My room is, I've always had smaller rooms, and that kind of keeps me modest a bit. That I can't just go crazy, and I try to really stay specific. The Amazon tree boas are my passion. That's really what I like. That's what gets me really excited. Um, when I go in there, if I'm messing with something, it's typically an Amazon tree boa. Right now, I don't even have green tree pythons at my location. I've sent some off on loan. Have some babies raising up that eventually may be sent back to me. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing yet, but green tree pythons were the first snake that I've ever bred. So they always have like that place in my heart. I love green tree pythons, but uh, I don't know if I just got jaded, but I was just like, I want something different than a green snake on a stick. And so I started looking into Amazon tree boas, and I really fell in love with them. Um, I also have Dominican red mountain boas. That was another species that I didn't see very much at the time, and I was really intrigued by them. And I like to challenge myself. A lot of people told me how hard they were to breed or to rear the babies, and I knew that the other species that I worked with, some of the Amazon tree boa babies can be difficult. Most of the litters are pretty easygoing, but I've had some fair share of litters that want make you pull the rest of your hair out. Green tree pythons can do the same thing, assist feed a baby for 6 months and it dies anyways. There's a lot of things that go into those. But I found the Dominicans were actually fairly easy for me just because I had a source for anoles. So out of 4 years, I had between 18 and 22 babies each litter, and I only lost 4 babies out of the entire 4 years. So that was is a win for me. I've kind of taken a couple of years off just because they have so many babies that it's just like I have to get a lot of anoles, and so I would purchase anoles from a buddy in Florida who would catch them with his son, and he would just ship hundreds to me at a time, tiniest size that he could find, and I just freeze them and offer them thawed. I just drop fed, and they'll always eat. They're I mean 9 times out of 10 they'll eat.
nice.
Might take them a couple times, but they're easy. Yeah, to me they were pretty fairly easy. So
And how did you switch them over? Would you kind of drop a pinky, frozen thawed pinky, in there with it, just so,
so
or
yeah, my
kind of,
so
yeah,
so what I did was the first litter that I had, I tried to the first year I actually had 2 litters. Um, then yeah, that's what it was. It was 2 litters, so it was 3 years, 2 litters, and then 1 litter, and then 1 litter is what I had. And so I would try a few different things. The first year I tried with some of them a certain amount of time. Like if I fed them 3 anoles, then I would try to scent a fuzzy, right? Because I wanted something with a little bit of hair to it to see if that would entice them. So I would scent, just like rub the butt or the tail end of that on the nose. And then, but I would only, I found out that really like they're so they're such a timid species that you can't even really tongue feed them. So if you try to tongue feed them, it's just going to spook them and they're going to run. So you'd have to drop feed everything. So I learned that once they became bold enough to accept the anole off tongs, that's when it was time to start transferring over to rodents. And then once I learned that, and I just kind of learned from trial and error, my wife would be in there helping me all the time, so I wouldn't spend all night in the snake room. And so, we learned that, like, yeah, if you just make sure that they accept off tongs first, scent, and then offer, it's like uh, that muscle memory that they have, that they just want to eat it off the tongs. So they end up taking it pretty easy. So that's what I found with them.
Interesting.
Is
Yeah.
an anole expensive to buy, or is it just a few bucks, just by
So
curiosity?
the last 2 years, I didn't even try to breed them. So I don't know if the rates have gone up. I mean, I would spend between $1 and $3 depending on the size of the anole. But because I knew the guy, he would just throw extras in. Like if he caught sometimes he would just say that he would catch handfuls of babies and he would just throw them in, you know? And so like I would pay for like 300 or 500 at a time. And then, I would open the bag and they're alive. So I had to like learn how to like, okay, like he's putting them in the bag alive. So I have to either, freeze them off while they're in the bag, or just take some live out, because very there's always going to be like a handful that don't accept the frozen thawed, but they will alive. And so I mean, it's like, do you worry about parasites, or do you try to keep them alive? And so those ones I would offer live to, on the next order, is what I would do. Is I always try to feed frozen thawed first. And I mean, yeah, so I would just, make it worth my while. If I had to pay shipping to get the anoles overnighted, then I would buy at least 300 at a time. To me, that, $1.80 a piece or whatever would come out to at the end, or, it's just like, it's not that bad because they're smaller than a rodent, but that's what they're eating. So, and they take it no problem. I've had a lot of people tell me that they've used quail and had luck, but they've had to kind of tinker with it a little bit. And then other people would just assist feed until they started taking. But I hadn't experienced that just because I had the anoles and they took them, just the brown anoles.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn how to do that because the anoles aren't. There's not too many feeder anoles up here. Like I think I could maybe try to find some, but
Where are
it's
you
definitely
at?
a lot harder because we like you can get brown anoles, but when they're from a pet store, they're not cheap anymore like they used to be.
What area are you, Michael?
I'm in southern Alberta now because I
Oh,
moved in February from Surrey to here. So now
yeah.
I would have to look at some of the wholesalers from out east. Probably would be the best bet.
Well, do you know Cody Joe up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to him about it too, because he's bred the Dominicans, and we were talking back and forth, and he can't get anoles like that either, and if he can't get the anoles, it's going to be really hard for a lot of people to get them, just because of how many people he knows. But he had pretty good luck with quail. I don't know what you're trying to feed,
So
but
I'll have Strigolatus
okay,
hopefully in
nice.
the next 4 or 5 months. I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
She had her
yeah.
I'm guessing it's a post-ov shed because I
Oh
was
yeah, you
talking
didn't
to
see
Rob Stone, and
nice.
he said yeah, if the female sheds, because he was I sent him a picture of mine, kind of. I was like, well, I don't know, she just ate, but then
Yeah.
she they were locked up for a couple months, and
Hmm.
then I was kind of asking him, and he's like, well, my Puerto Ricans are going later this year, and they were locked up like the day he sent me that
Yep.
picture. So I threw mine back together, and they locked up immediately. And then she went into shed like 2 days later. So
Is she
kind of,
just seeking heat right now, or what is she
yeah.
doing?
Well, she kind of always does, but she's kind of seeking heat, and then she's kind of moving around, kind of how she wants to.
Does she do the little donut
Yeah.
pose, or she just, yeah?
Yeah.
When I see them like that, the chilobathras, when they're like sitting like a little donut under the heat, that's almost a telltale sign that that thing is about to ovulate or has already ovulated, and you just didn't catch it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this year I was pretty good at just leaving the mail in. Like there's a month there where he was just in there with her locking on and
Mhm.
off kind of thing, which is better than
Yeah.
last year because last year I didn't get any locks or I didn't see any
Mhm.
locks. So this
Yeah,
year,
sometimes they can be kind of little ninja breeders, but if that's kind of my rule of thumb. I make it easy for myself. If I see something that looks like swelling and I'm like questioning myself if it's, just follicular development or if it's actual ovulation, I'll mark it, but I'll still leave the mail in just to be safe always. I'll just be like, okay, well, I need to see them forced to separate. Like they usually will do that where they're like, don't want anything to do with each other, most species.
oh yeah,
And you can kind of say, okay, let's separate them, and maybe I'll put them back in just in case again, and then from there, they'll usually tell you like what's going on. I just, like Eugene Bissett used to say, is like just be a student of the serpent. You just kind of like really observe and watch them and learn from their behaviors, and over time, you realize if there's inconsistencies or some kind of differences, you take notice to those things.
yeah for sure. Because yeah, these animals are from Jeff back in their 2015 animals. So Cody
Mhm.
Joe actually has the other pair of this line. So yeah, because he bred the that other lineage of Strigolatus back in 2021, but now
Nice. Yeah, I saw that.
I got the male that bred, and then one of the offspring because the female passed away the other year. So
Hmm.
now I just have to hope for Michael. What's his name from Germany? That does the West Indian Boas website with Jeff Sana. Yeah, because he has that lineage of Strigolatus as well. But yeah, I know the Strigolatus. I was talking to Stephen Woodward, and he was talking about
Mhm.
how the Knoll juice scent works really well with them now. Just with like a Knoll scent on boiled pinks, they'll take it
Okay.
like 80% of the time, kind of thing. So I'm kind of if I could get some of that, that'd be great. But I'm thinking even if I just get 5 or 10 brown and Knolls and kind of make a slurry with it and use it to scent as much as I can, kind of thing. That's probably better than just trying to use quail and chicks, which probably aren't going to do the trick, right? So
Did No, I mean maybe later on, but did you ask Cody about his feeding technique if they're also timid like the striatus are?
no, not yet, because
Yeah,
yeah,
because I know the Dominicans, they're very shy and timid. Like just the sight of the tongs or you too much really spooks them, and they bolt, and you're not going to get them to like divert their attention at all. Like they're just gone.
yeah, yeah. I even noticed that with because I did get some Dominicans at
Spray
one
them
point.
too.
Yeah, yeah, they're I'm kind of. I think I have an idea of how I want to do it because I know how I do the colubrids, like the subox. I just do the kind of drop feed and leave it, and they'll all
Mhm.
take it, and then you'll like one of my female subox doesn't even take it off tongs, but she eats every time, kind of thing. But I see what you mean there, though. It would be nice to get them to the point where you can just tong feed it on a knoll and try that. So yeah, that's kind of the game plan I had was just to make a slurry and kind of try to stretch it out with
Yeah.
scenting either maybe try to boil them, but yeah, that was kind of my idea. But if I if I can find some feeder knolls, I think I'll try that too.
Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, like maybe take a fuzzy. They should be big enough to take a fuzzy off the bat if they're about the same size as
Yeah,
striatus.
there's some pictures Jeff has of them eating pinkies, and the pinkies look big.
Look
Maybe
big, huh?
because these
Okay.
guys, I think they're the same. The adults are the same size. Like my female Strigolatus is she's like good size. Like she like probably the biggest rainbow boa you've seen is probably about the
Mhm.
size of her. The males are obviously leaner and a bit smaller, but
Yeah.
she's a solid probably 6 feet kind of thing. But for
Yeah.
some reason they seem to have like smaller babies than Dominicans. Maybe not. I haven't seen like a fresh
Crazy.
Dominican, but
Okay.
yeah, they're pretty tiny. So I'm thinking it's probably gonna have to be pinks to get started, which because they grow super slow. Like the one from 2021 from Cody Joe, that thing is
Mhm.
doesn't even like it still looks like a juvenile. Like it's eating, it's
Yeah.
growing, like
No,
it's
no, that's pretty
but they're
like
super
until they
slow.
hit like after 3 years old, they are super
Yeah,
tiny. So when people are like, "Can you breed them at 4?" I'm like, if you can get them big enough at 4, but they still look like babies at 4. Like once they get over that 3 year mark, they'll hit a growth spurt between that 4 and 5 year age, and then they'll really like start to take off and want to eat like big meals. But yeah, it's really hard to get them like a good size within that first 3 years. They take forever.
Yeah,
So it took me like, I think mine were 6 and 7 when they first bred.
yeah.
So
I think it's also
mhm.
why Tyrone had, because Tyrone had the pair I have before me, and then when he sent them to me, she was actually full of slugs, because she I thought she was
Mm,
just fat, and then apparently
yeah,
she was eating all good, and then as soon as I got her, she
she passed it all at
she
least.
stopped eating. Oh yeah, she dropped like
Yeah,
30 slugs, kind of thing.
holy cow.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like she had like 20, and then 10 over the next like 6 months, kind of came out slowly. But yeah,
okay.
so we'll see.
Yeah,
Fingers are
bows are
crossed.
notorious for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what does your Amazon collection kind of look like right now? Like, how many animals are you working with, kind of thing? Like 20 or so adults, or are you working with have a lot of holdbacks kind of mixed in there?
I mean, I have some holdbacks. I try to keep like my collection around that 30 mark or under. Um, like Dom was saying, like you kind of have a number that you need to be comfortable with, and I really don't want to produce more than like 5 clutches or litters a year, depending on what I'm doing, and if I'm working with someone else, like if if I could send babies off or if they're doing a loan for me or something like that, like I'll do more. But yeah, for me here, 5 litters is probably like the most I want to do. I keep it small. And then that way I can kind of just cherry pick what I want, and I don't have to. I've been fortunate enough that like, people know that if they want Amazon tree boas, there's a good handful of people here that they can reach out to. So I have never put anything on Morph Market before. I usually just post it on my Instagram, and before I even put for sale or anything, I usually have people asking me for specific things. So, I mean, that's nice and flattering that things go like that. But for me, like it's really about like just producing those babies and just being able to like see the new thing. Yeah, so I try to keep it between like that 20 and 30 mark. So I do sell most of my babies off. I don't try to hold like a ton of them back. And that way other people get to enjoy it too, whether they're breeding or just keeping. And then, some of these people I've sold animals to, they're just crazy, you know. One of the reddest Dominican red mountain boas that I produced is in Nick Mutton's hands, and he likes to show me that all the time. So, that's cool. And then some of the other ones, like I have some friends in Florida that got some babies for me, and it's just like they're just amazing looking. So, you know, I really like the calico stuff with the Amazon tree boas. I think most people are kind of drawn to a red snake. If they could see a snake that's pure red or red and white or red, white, and black, some orange in there, something like that, they really like that look. Um, so that obviously drew me to them, yellow snakes, orange snakes, red snakes. After you've had, years of just green snakes, it was kind of a nice variety to kind of start dabbling into. Then I started realizing that the calico gene itself was so variable. You can literally have an entire room full of calicos and have none of them look alike, right? You can have the calico tigers. We're starting to understand that we can uh, we're starting to understand some of these genetics and the way that we reproduce and how they're inherited. So we kind of use some of that knowledge. And we all just kind of talk about it and show each other like these results. I know some people are a bit secretive about it, but I know eventually that stuff will come out, and we just share the results. And um, it's been fun to kind of be early in the game with the Amazons. It was just something that I saw, and I was really drawn to it. I didn't care how cheap they were back in the day. I used to get them from Cam over at Bushmaster for like $20. 15, $20 for gardens. And he said, 40 bucks, $60 for coloreds. And if there's fancy, $100, like he was just, that's what they were. But I just liked them. I thought they were cool. And, I always thought people love arboreal snakes. They love to be able to go into a room, see a snake out in the open, perched up or kind of draped or laying out so that you can see, like cryptic basking or something like that. But people also love the genetic aspect of like ball pythons, corn snakes, that kind of stuff, and carpet pythons. So why not combine the two, right? A small snake that you can keep in pretty much any place, right? If you had an apartment, you can keep one or two, no problem. It's easy to keep. They're easy to breed. They're easy to feed. They're very hardy. So on, they're kind of like a a easier version of a green tree python at first. Green tree pythons are actually fairly easy to keep, but you just have to kind of keep things a little bit more stable. The Amazons can tolerate a little bit more, um, you know, I guess imperfections or if you slack off a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. The humidity drops or whatever. They're usually pretty easy to kind of come around. And that's why I decided that I really wanted to start working with the Amazons. They're beautiful. I mean, just the shape of them. I really enjoy a snake that has a nice shape to its head and definition to the neck. I don't know why, but for some reason, like a lot of colubrids kind of remind me of like a worm. So it just really, I don't mind them. I think they're still cool. It's just not a snake that I want to keep myself. I love the Amazon tree boas. I love most arboreal stuff, right? I do love emeralds. I love Sanzinia. All of the arboreal stuff is pretty cool. I even like some of the colubrid stuff too. I would probably get some tiger rat snakes if.
Oh yeah, yeah, those are cool.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
those
some
are
tiger.
sadly illegal in Alberta for some dumb reason. Same as how
Really?
Gonyosoma are illegal here. They just
Huh.
It's the weirdest thing. Them, like, I get the Diones and the
Fiji
Russians.
iguanas are illegal here, and it's like it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah. It's more of a Lacey Act thing, more or than an actual them being illegal, right?
That's
But
true.
yeah, yeah. Hey, me and Dom could get them, but nobody really cares up here, which is kind of like people
Mhm.
care, right? But it's like,
The Fijis?
yeah,
It's a
like
little
people,
bit dated
but they're
now.
kind of like if you want them, you can get them. They still
Hmm.
like you can get bandits for you can get a male bandit for $1,500 kind of
Yeah.
thing. The cresteds I've seen their price tags. They're still pretty high, but they're here.
You know what? If banded iguanas had no legs, I'd probably keep some.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. They don't really do it for me.
yeah,
I'm not
Yeah,
really an agama guy kind of guy. I
I'm not either.
But it's
So
just too
going
much work. I do have some monitors, but they're just so much more work. I have green tree monitors and Molinas monitor.
Do you mind if we go back to a bit the morse with Amazon? So
No, yeah.
I've always tried to figure it out, and you don't need to go too much into details, but my understanding was most of them were all either polygenic or just we don't know.
No.
Is there and I don't know many of them. Like I know Calico, I know Tiger. I've heard Garden Phase. I've heard a couple of them, but I'm pretty sure there's more. Do you mind kind of going over, like I don't know if you say, like for example, this is a Calico. Calo is different colors, spots, blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
right now we're kind of thinking it's polygenic. Just kind of a quickly, and you don't need to go into the secrets that you don't want to share. Just the
No, no,
overall
no,
or
no,
what is
no.
understood.
And so people understand the way Amazon Trebos are, right? And they always go back to thinking about like they use the examples of like ball pythons typically because people understand those genetics a little bit more. So right, we have recessive, incomplete, dominant traits. Ball pythons, we had a lot less of a palette to work with, and we were able to reverse engineer and pull genes out of these snakes, right? And come up and concentrate these things and creates just some crazy anomalies and patterns that are actually able to be reproduced. The same thing can go with Amazons, right? If you take a ball python nowadays, right, like that has, let's say, 10 different genetic mutations in it, right? There's $100,000 snake, let's say. If you take that snake and that snake was found in the wild, how would you be able to figure out what is in that snake without knowing what is in that snake? And that's how Amazon tree boas start, right? A lot of the animals that are in the wild, there's so many different colors, and the reason for that is because it works, right? A lot of different species will have different genetics that are also found in the wild. You're a carpet guy, exanthic, right? Most carpet pythons, like in the wild, will have an exanthic form, right? And that's because it works, because those dark colors do the same thing that the normal colors would do, but maybe even better. Who knows, right? But they're able to, camouflage or whatever they need to do. And the same goes with the Amazon tree boas. People thought that like the gardens were actually the normal ones. And I think it's the same kind of situation, right? I think that's the exanthic wild part of the normal. I always tell people, when you look at an Amazon tree boa, you want to kind of look at a normal like this. A normal is going to be like a tricolor, right? A tricolor, but these all have like sliding scales of color and pigment. So it's going to be like tricolor has the orange, yellow, and then black spots, right? Or some patterning. Some of them can have patterning, some of them have spots. That's a tricolor. But there could be less black in the animal, and that could be found in the wild, or it could be line bred, or it could be concentrated more on the yellow side or the orange side, right? But these are all like what we would consider like a normal Amazon tree boa. The gardens or Halloween's the same thing. They're what we think is exanthic, right? I like to debate Nick on this because that's not what he's thinking, and I love that he's trying to. Everyone is trying to like figure out like, Dayton's working on this. I know Billy Hunt has a ton of gardens down in Florida. There's so many people that are trying to figure out like what these things are, and that's what we need to do, is really start deconstructing and and reverse engineering some of these genetics. So we'll start with the genetics here. Okay, red and calico. These two, right, are actually one phenotype right now. Red, calico, right? We say red/calico because we do not know if we can separate the two. All reds do not look like a calico, but every single calico starts red or is red. So every single one so far. Some of us are working on other animals that have very similar look to them, but they're not red. We cannot call them calicos yet. So red and calico right now, because the only results that we have printed by Dayton Croydon and Nick Mutton, documented, red so far is recessive. Red calico is a recessive trait. Okay. Then you have Halloween. Halloween and garden. It's the same thing. One of them exhibits more red or orange, right? Or yellow, right? Just depending where that scale is. That is also what we think from the results proven over and over and over again. Garden is also recessive. And then from there, we have tiger. You shown examples of them?
Yeah, I think he just pulled it up.
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to pull up the color morphs at the same time as you were talking about, but I'm a little slower than you, so I
No,
just
it's
figured
okay.
I'd look at them while you were talking about them. They're just
Yeah.
random.
So yeah, so we have the red calico, and then we have the Halloween garden. Those are both recessive traits that have been proven yet. And there's, how science works. It's always changing, right? So the results that we have now may be different in 10 or 20 years from now. That's why we continue to take notes and compare things with each other. But yeah, so that's one of my favorite looks is the actual Halloween. I don't have any kind of the standard garden. I really like the really really dark Halloweens. They're almost completely black with a little bit of orange on the back, and then they kind of fade out to the cream color and the little, but have a high contrast still. I really like that. Um, so those two traits. Then we have tiger. Tiger is a dominant trait. So anything you breed a tiger to, you're going to get tiger plus anything, right? Oh yeah, some of those are my snakes too. Actually, most of those are.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, you can see different versions of tiger here. You can see there's calico tigers here. There's a leopard tiger here. There's a Halloween tiger here. There's a garden tiger here. There's a tricolor tiger here. There's an orange tiger here. There's a bicolor tiger here. So there's all different kinds of tigers, right? You can just breed tiger to anything, and 50-50, you should get tiger with everything. I love stripes. Some people don't. To each their own. So I'll put stripes in everything. So we have those traits right there. Those are kind of the easy ones. Those are the ones that we know so far. Uh, Leopard is also another one. Leopard is very similar look to Garden and Halloween if you don't know what you're looking for. Right now, we have not seen any colored variety of leopard. It's just gray and black or brown and black, or brown and grayish dark color. It's all those kind of subtle kind of earthy tones. Um, that right now we also know that it's a recessive trait and how it's inherited. So we know those for a fact, and so we're trying to use that knowledge to really. Yep, that's a leopard tiger from, I believe it might be Jacob's. That's mine, leopard tiger, liger.
Oh yeah, yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
leopards are definitely neat. But has anybody been able to throw some color into them yet, or is that still not
So,
happened?
Stephen Ty Folk in the UK, I believe he produced one that was a leopard, but it was, to me, it looked like chimera because it was like split in the face. So I don't think it was a paradox. I don't know if it was a paradox or not, but half of it looked like a colored leopard, and then the other half looked like a standard leopard. Amazing snake. If you ever go on Instagram, I think it's Folk Reptiles or something like that. He's one of the best in the world. He has an amazing collection. But yeah, other than that, no. So a lot of people are making double hets right now, just to try to see if there's anything. Cody Joe popped out some amazing snakes in like 23 or 22 or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so him and I were talking about those, and I was just like, dude, I need updates on those. Like, what pairing was this? Like, what? Like, I was just trying to get some information, but no, I don't think any of them made it. Like, maybe one or something like that. Like, it wasn't.
yeah,
It's like, damn, dude, it's always like the ones like I've produced an Amazon tree boa that looked like a calico that was so calico it looked pied as a baby. It died. I produced some that looked like leucistic, but were more of like a peach color, and they died, And they live for like a little while, or they have a problem, and it's just like, it's always like those ones that kill over like that.
yeah.
So, going back to the genetics, like those are the ones that we know, like for sure. The next one is hypo, and hypo is the worst term for this morph, I think. But I actually don't have any hypo. I don't have any leucistic, so I don't really have any skin in the game here. I'm just observing and kind of seeing how they do these things.
And when you say hypo, do you
Hypo,
mean like decreased melanin?
no.
No.
I wish I did. No.
What
So
does it mean then?
hypo is So what happened is the Gulf Coast Reptiles was the first one to have it. It looked very much like that, right? It was very yellow snake, and so he thought that was a hypo because if he bred two of those together, he produced a leucistic, which was an all white snake. So he thought this was a hypo specimen, but later to come find out, after he produced the leucistic, he kept the ones that looked pure yellow back and sold the ones with pattern off. Later to come to find out, those ones with pattern also carried that gene, right? So that meant that this was not a reduced pigmented snake. This was probably more of like a line bred or specific color. So that was just what happened is we call them hypo. I hate that term. Right now, people are trying to find out if it's incomplete dominant or if it's recessive, right? Because you have to have two snakes that have one copy of that gene, regardless. So either way, you have to have a het, right, on either side. Um, the debate is when you reproduce them and you have a litter of babies, can you and anybody else select the hypos only from the non-hypos? And to me, if someone answers that and says, I do not know how to tell, then that to me means that it's a recessive trait. If they say, I can select it because of these things that are different, then to me that sounds like incomplete dominant. But the problem is with the recessive stuff, or if it is incomplete dominant, they could be so subtle we just don't see it to our eye.
I was going to say one of
So,
the biggest problems is you see it all the time. Like how often do
mhm.
people say xanthic is recessive, right? And almost everywhere, xanthic is not recessive. Xanthic is incomplete dominant. So as
Okay.
far as I know, so and a lot of people are like, well, it looks paler, but that's the het, and you're like, well, it's not het, right? If you see it paler, if you see different, like a difference with if it's on one
Mhm.
allele and you can see a difference, therefore it's incomplete dominant. If it's got two alleles, you see it differently. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of people often go with the reason that you're going, but if it's not subtle enough for you to tell, that doesn't mean it's recessive. It might just mean that there's not the incomplete dominant form when it's only on one allele might not be just enough of hypo or enough of decrease whatever pigment it is for you to tell it or tell it apart. But it, I don't know. I'm just saying that
Oh,
I feel like
absolutely.
often, yeah.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that. And that's why I've kind of like, hey, that's not really a project for me. I do like to observe and watch those guys and kind of see what they do. I know Dayton's working on that. I know Gulf Coast Reptiles is trying to get back into that project. Jacob Brooks is working really heavily on that project right now. Rory Gresko is working on that. And those guys can take that project. I've just seen some of the other species when you go white snake, like how much further can you go than that? And so for me, that wasn't something I was interested in. I like a lot more contrast to my snake. I would love to have a all white Amazon tree, but don't get me wrong. I just only have so much room, so I prefer a lot more contrast to my animals. If I go in there and look, and maybe eventually I'll spend the money and just buy a leucistic, um, but I don't want to wait
How many
around.
have? Because I remember the chat you guys had at the round table a couple years ago. Now the conversation was more around like there didn't seem like there was too many that had survived to adulthood that came out as leucistic. How is that kind of going now? Has stuff kind of been
Yeah,
uh,
it sounds
ironed
like
out a little
the
bit?
ones. Yeah, the ones Rory has adults. He's had adults for years. He's been raising some up. Dayton finally produced some that survived, and he's been raising those up for a few years now. Jacob Brooks has some. I think actually he only has hypos, so he may have the ability to produce them this year. I think he said.
And just so I can break it down, are leucistics like the double allele form of the hypo? Is that
So
kind of what
that's
I'm understanding?
Yes.
Like,
So and the thing is leucistic as well is it truly considered leucistic because there are some adult forms that look completely peppered. They almost look like gardens, when they're adults, but like washed like a ghost.
Maybe just the terminology is wrong. Like the
Mhm.
fact
That's
that
exactly.
the fact that a hypo or a
Mhm.
double hypo would be called a leucistic, all everything in there makes no sense, right?
It does.
So the terminology is wrong, but the
Yes.
what matters is that the hypo seems to be tied to the leucistic. So if you breed a leucistic to a emerald, geez, emerald, no, Amazon tree boa that has no hypo or nothing like that, will the entire clutch be hypo?
They should.
Has that pairing been done? I'm just curious because
Yeah,
if it
actually,
is,
yeah, it has been done. I think uh, Gulf Coast
because
Reptiles did that. That's how they started understanding the genetics a little bit more. I think that's what Dayton is working on. Rory is a bit more secretive, so it's hard to get some information out of him until he's been doing it for a while. Then he'll kind of come out and tell everyone what's going on. And
that
that's
would pretty much tell you it's incomplete dominant, like 100%.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those that's
So yeah,
definitely.
I mean that would be good to know, but I don't think the guys working on it right now either have disclosed that information or have it yet. So I don't think I've seen that recently at all.
and
Interesting.
just by curiosity, is there a reason why? Sorry, Mike, I keep talking over you, man.
No,
Um, sorry, is there a reason why people are not disclosing it? Is it just is it just that by not disclosing that information, they are able to breed more and keep those secrets and maybe, I don't know, be further in the game? Or I never quite understood why people don't share that kind of information.
well, also too, you're not quite sure what's going on. So some people, some people, it's a humility thing. They just don't want to start saying that they have something that they don't really know too much about. So they want to make sure that they're putting in the work to be able to identify those things, and I respect that. So that we're not kind of hyping things up before we understand. And then there's also kind of the I don't want someone else to do it first situation. And then other people are just very introverted and they just would rather keep to themselves, and that's their prerogative.
Yeah, I think everybody has their own kind of way they prefer to do things, or not necessarily
Hmm.
jinx themselves on a project long term. While maybe it's
Yeah,
true, they don't want to. Like, you never know. You could always
yeah,
lose an
it's not.
animal and then it's gone.
There's about a couple handfuls of us here in the states that really try to share information with each other, so that and we understand this is science, right? Like it's always going to change. That's why we're trying to learn this stuff, and we understand like okay, what results did you get from this? And now that Dom said that to me too, it's like that makes total sense. I don't know why we haven't gone back and looked to see if a Lucy has been paired to a normal recently, because everyone is so focused on producing Lucy's. So why would you want to go backwards? But in order to be able to prove that out, you have to. So
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know,
Or maybe
yeah,
you could even find something else has those alleles as well, and you can almost
sure.
like ball pythons. Like obviously, it probably would have happened already, but like how you had lessers and mojaves
Hmm.
and the other ones that produce white snakes, but variations of white snakes, like you're talking about, where some have pattern, right? Like some of those Lucy ball pythons, you shine a black light on them, and you see pattern in there.
Yeah,
So maybe it's something like that, and maybe we get some other hypo looking like stuff out of Amazon. Where do Amazons like usually get exported out of, kind of thing? Do you know which
Suriname,
countries?
Guyana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are the only two places legally that you can get South American animals from. So whether they're caught there or not, nobody really knows. But everything comes from Suriname or Guyana.
Okay.
So, mhm.
Interesting. Yeah, so that'd be the
There's
same as
still
the emeralds, I'm guessing too, right? Because yeah,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
emeralds only
That's
come out of
everything
those
comes
two.
from those two
Yeah.
ports. So some of them are slower or closed down, over the other ones, but I don't think they have closed for quite some time. I haven't bought imports in a really long time. That's not my thing. I used to do that when I was younger or getting back into the hobby to kind of cherry pick to make sure that I have some wild blood in my stock, and then I would just sell off the ones that weren't kind of up to my standards with their phenotype.
And do the Walcots do well in captivity? Like, is it
Oh,
one of those
absolutely.
animals like they any of
Absolutely.
them you get, majority of them will make it, no problem?
Yeah. Yeah. They're very, very hardy snakes. Like I said, um, you know, I think when I used to get them from importers, like sometimes they would not even look at the snakes; they would just count heads and then ship them in the same bags that they came with. I've pulled ticks off them and seen worms and crazy stuff off them, but the snakes they turn around really well. They acclimate really well to captivity. You know they take off tongs because they have kind of like a little defensive nature to them. So they're always kind of S back and ready to bite, anyways. So they breed without doing much. Like I said, just keep them together. Sometimes, the importers would tell me that they just bred in the bags on the way over here, and the female could be gravid, or they dropped a litter of babies in the bags as they were transported. So like I've heard all kinds of stories from these importers. So they're pretty hardy, and most of the time I've gotten snakes, they were all fairly easy to establish. I have a vet. She's an equine vet, and so every time I need something, it's nice that she's kind of a traveling vet, and she likes that I'm into things that are a little bit unique, so she doesn't get to see some of this stuff often. So if I take a monitor lizard or a snake that's impacted, or needs a little oxytocin or something like that, then she's always down to help with that kind of stuff, which is a blessing. Um, so I just go for it and have a good time, and have a lot of resources out here, which is nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want to go, Mike,
that's
or
definitely useful to have as a vet, right? Like,
Mhm.
I know up here, they're especially reptile vets are pretty hard to come by. I know Vancouver has, I don't know, there's a couple clinics that'll see reptiles that are not too bad, but
So the thing I've realized about vets is like you should really do your education yourself. Like there's so many books out there that you can read and information about the medicine. Don't try to act like you're always smarter than the vet, but when you go and talk to the vet, you can share your knowledge on the species because maybe they understand medicine and dosages, right? And how they're supposed to be administered and for what different things, but you understand the animal a little bit better than they do. So together you guys can come up with it. So even dog and cat vets, most of the medications that we give these animals are for dogs and cats or horses or something like that. Like they're not made for reptiles. They've kind of just learned how to tweak things, or by accident they realize that you can't give things certain things. Like you cannot give a turtle ivermectin. Like there's things that we've learned. And we can all work with each other. And the vet that I have is nice because she'll actually take following education on reptiles just because of me, which is really nice. But she likes that, and I'll just pay her to come over and look at my whole collection. And she wants me to like deworm my snakes once or twice a year. Kind of she has that like herd mentality a little bit. Like she's used to animals that do put their nose down to the ground all the time. So I do take her advice, and we talk back and forth, and we try to come to conclusions. I don't really like to medicate my snakes just for no reason. So unless I'm seeing things or have a problem, then we kind of put our heads together and we come up with a solution together. It is really difficult when you come to a vet and they're very pompous, and that they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the species, but they obviously know what they're talking about when it comes to the medicine. That's the problem. And but if you find that vet that has a little bit of humility, that's willing to listen, like keep them, pay them whatever they need.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
it's interesting hearing you talk about the herd mentality. That's really you can tell it's a farm animal vet, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them
Yep.
just treat like you treat all the sheeps the same way, and
Yes.
this
You're
way,
just
if they're
shocking
all
them.
good, they're all good. Can you
Yeah.
imagine doing that on all your reptiles? Like to me, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like it's
Yeah,
interesting though.
and the
Like
main issue would be the fact that we still probably don't fully understand the effects of a lot of these medications on on the reptiles, right? Like
Mhm.
actually
It is
knowing
so
like the
hard
long
on
term
their. Yeah,
dosages and oh yeah,
I
in five
think
years
if
its
you
kidneys are gonna
if you
die.
yes, if you've kept snakes long term, you know that like medication and dehydration will lead to kidney and liver problems. Like kidney failure is super prevalent in the hobby, and then like fatty liver from like overfeeding rodents and stuff. It's like those two things right there, like those we have all, if we've been in the hobby long enough, we've had animals die from those things, right? Either we've learned that we can't overfeed, or we've learned that we didn't hydrate the animal enough, right? Sometimes some animals don't seek water in a bowl as often as others, or whatever the situation is. They have parasites and they're just kind of secluded and they don't really go anywhere. There's a lot of different things, so it's nice to have a backup plan and just go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you keep most of your stuff in? Are you doing PVC cages? Are you doing big PVC cages? Kind of what's your kind of setup there in the room?
Yeah, everything that I keep is in some kind of like PVC or acrylic or something like that. Um, I do have glass cages. They're just usually not meant for like my snakes. Like my kids have, their own pets and stuff like that, so they'll have exoterials with stuff. But all my cages, they're all PVC. I do have some bullfile cages. I have some herptastic cages. I have some AP cages. I have some bars cages. I have some um, big sky reptile cages. I have some. The guy Jeff Poff that just started Kingsnake.com. He makes me cages now. In fact, hopefully I should be getting some here soon in the beginning of summer here for my new room from him too. So I like PVC. I prefer glass fronts for sliding, but obviously if the enclosure is too small, sliding is not going to work, and you have to do a swing door. I just always found that swing doors, when they're made out of like plexi or acrylic or Lexan or whatever, like they're going to kind of potato chip a little bit, just because of the humidity and temperature differences within the cage and out. Some of it not as much. Some of them you can put them in a frame, or I think it's the Lexan. They don't flex as much as long as it's thicker, um, and they all work. You just push the corner in a little bit more and turn the tab. But I really like the glass fronts. If it's like a 4x2x2, that works just fine. I love those. Most of my cages, I do have standard tubs for babies, 6 quart, and then I bump them straight up to a 15 quart. And then I do have display cages. They're like condo cages that are PVCs. Like they're like maybe a little shy of a 4 foot enclosure, but they're divided into 4 or 3 sections. Um, and then I'll have I'll move some of my snakes from the 6 quart to there, or from the 6 quart to the 15 quarts. And then from there, they'll go to, that next size up in the cage, 16 by 18, something like that, by 24 tall. And then I have different ones of those that were custom made for me. I do like the breeder AP cages that I have. They're 3x2x2s. So like my big Amazon tree boa females, I usually have them in there. And then I can bring a male into that cage. They have light shrouds in there, so I like to use just a small wattage light bulb for the heat source on a timer, pretty much. Just like I'll just throw a 20 or 30 watt heat bulb in there, just turn it on for 6 hours a day, maybe 4 hours a day, just depending on what the temperature is. Just to let them. Some of these cages, like I don't even really use a thermostat, just because I kind of just know, like, even if it gets to 94 degrees over here in this corner, it's still 86 during the day, and then it cools down. The whole room is like 77. So, like, and if that's the hottest the cage is going to get, I'm okay with that. So I don't really. I just kind of play with stuff and use my temp gun for a while until I get it figured out, and then I can just kind of play with it until it all works out. But the 3x2x2s are my preferred cage for breeding. I do have a lot of cubes, the 2x2x2s.
Three
as
by
well.
two by twos horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
horizontal? Why do you find that's better? I'm just
because
curious.
the Amazon tree boas, they like to stretch out. So when they're stretching out, they actually do utilize a lot of that room horizontally and side to side. They do like to go up and down, but when they're actually just relaxing, right? They like to drape. They don't really. They will coil like a green tree python or emerald will, but they really do appreciate like draping over multiple points of contact.
That's what I was going to ask, if they're more
Yep.
one of those animals that like just perch over like 7 or 8 different points on branches, or if they like
Exactly.
to be just
They
on
just have
one
like,
big
yeah.
branch all coiled on it.
Yep. No, they like multiple branches, big branches, small branches. That's why you can really like make the cages look really nice. You know, you can just put a whole bunch. Like me, I love to get like we have oak trees or alder trees, and we'll just get big branches. Or I like ghost wood. That's kind of my preferred wood in my cages is get ghost wood, and then just put tons of like pothos or rhododendrons in there, and uh, just let them go. You know, not rhododendrons. What are the other ivy one?
Oh,
Or just a flower?
is it hibiscus? No.
No,
Yeah, talking to the wrong guy here. I
Oh.
like plants, but I'm
no,
good at
no,
killing
no,
them.
no, not a rhododendron. That's a flower. I was thinking of it's the other. It's not pothos. It's the other
Oh,
ivy. But I use or like
Like
yeah.
pothos is the one that grows anywhere in anything
Yeah.
and just keeps
Yeah,
But the
spreading.
other
That
one-
one's the obvious.
Yeah, the other one I almost feel like grows better. I like it. It's better shaped leaf and stuff. Heart shaped rhododendron. I think it is a rhododendron. Yeah, something like I don't know. Whatever.
when we're
yeah,
not plant guys.
Yeah, well,
And
I mean,
just
I
by
do appreciate plants. I have a lot on my property. It's just not like a passion for me. It's
Yeah.
just I like
Yeah.
it look, you know.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Like different Japanese maples and stuff, but I couldn't tell you what the name of them are. You know, so
the your breeder adults, and I don't know if you're like us, like I never weigh my snakes, but just by curiosity, what's their length and their weight? Because Amazons tend to be a pretty long but very slender snake, right? Like
Yep.
it balls up in a tiny little thing,
Mhm.
but when it stretches out, you're like, oh my god, that thing's big.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I keep my animals fairly small. My females, they're going to be, you know, I think my biggest female is probably like a little over 5 feet if you stretch her out, maybe close to 6. But they're fairly lean, you know, like I think like that big around, you know, my biggest female, like when she's gravid, like that's about what she's looking like. But for the most time, you know, my males, they're going to be smaller. Like I want them thinner. I keep them kind of between that like 4.5, 5 foot range. And I just kind of slow their food intake down and just make sure that they have a nice healthy body weight. And then I feed them a little bit more before I know I'm going to breed them. But I don't know about weight because I don't weigh any of my arboreal snakes. So I couldn't really tell you the weight on them. I used to weigh green tree pythons like when I was reading like Greg Maxwell's books and stuff, but no, I could, maybe 650 grams, something like that.
Yeah,
Something like
that
that.
seems pretty healthy compared to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't Greg's book say to get the chondros to
1,200 grams.
1,200 grams?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did have green tree pythons back in the day. They were huge, you know,
Oh, yeah.
but they don't need to. These animals don't need to be huge like that. But there's a fine line too. We don't want to like underdo it too, you know. So I just try to keep a healthy balance and realize like, oh no, I forgot to feed my animals 3 weeks, and then I'll hit them maybe 2 weeks back to back, and then I'll forget again for 2 weeks. But by doing that, you create this inconsistency that's actually healthy for them, you know? So for me, it's like, people are like, how do you do it? How do you have all this stuff going on and you can take care of all these animals? Like, it's like, well, they work well with me because they actually like a little like benign neglect, you know? Like they actually thrive on that. Like if I don't go in there for a couple days, they're really happy probably, you know? So as long as they don't shit in their water bowls, like they're good, you know? And I just go in there and just do a kind of a visual every single day, make sure everything's good, and service on usually Sundays and Wednesdays usually, but
Yeah.
this week it'll be a Thursday. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
and I
very
just,
similar to me. I just feed whenever I feel like it or when I
Mhm.
have time.
Yep,
And
same
when it's
here.
been a long time, I'm like,
You
shit,
know,
I haven't fed in like 3, 4 weeks. I really need to
yep.
find time. And then it might
Hmm.
take me another week to find time to do it,
Yeah,
right?
same.
Um, I think it has a huge advantage.
Hmm.
Cleaning, I lay eyes on every snake every morning, every night, twice a day.
Same
If
here.
there's anything like poop in the water bowl, I'll change it on the spot.
Yeah.
If not, it's waiting until my next
Yep.
full clean
Exactly.
day.
Yep. I just
Where
want to make sure they
so
have fresh water. If there's a little urate or something, and it's tomorrow's my cleaning day. If I can grab it, sure. But if I don't need to go into that cage, it'll probably wait till tomorrow.
that'll be
And
fine.
I'm just not. I learned when I first started with green tree python was I was extremely anal just because that's how that community is. When I started getting the Chilobothris, you learn doesn't matter how much you clean, they want it shitty all the time. And so they're going to just, you clean the cage, you wipe everything down, and you go in there the next day after you clean it, and they're smearing their,
Yeah.
urates
It's
all over the place. Does Strigulatus have the very like thick musk too? It's very like viscous.
mm, honestly, I haven't been musked by any of mine. Even when I got that baby, like
Really?
I haven't had any musk. Like they're great. Like I to me, it's like why are people complaining about these things? They're not that bad. Like they'll leave some urates around their stuff, and I'll leave the urates, but I'll clean out the hard poop. But
Yeah.
they're I haven't really. I guess I'll see it with the babies if I get babies how those are. But I'm sure
Hmm.
that there'll be a little bit of musk kind of thing. But I haven't
Yeah.
really even with that juvenile and the other
They,
males, nothing.
they can they can grow out of it too. The more you kind of habituate them, just like the more you're handling them, they just know that like that's not going to do anything by musking on you or biting you or whatever. But most of the time, as babies, they're mine at least the striatus they were not very bitey at all. Like they didn't even want to open their mouths,
Hmm.
but they would pee on me, and it was very like it was almost just a little thinner than like egg whites. It was very like goopy, and
Yeah,
it
when
just
I,
had a
when I
very
see the urate, yeah, no, it is kind of
Mhm.
like that, right? Like it's that really
jelly.
liquidy. Yeah,
Yeah, wonder interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering when if they actually do musk, if it's like that, because it's just a different. I've never seen it from any other genus that like thick musk like that, and it has a very unique smell. Maybe similar to some colubrids, but yeah, not nice.
yeah,
So they're more of like I just like to watch them. As they get older, they're less likely to musk. I've noticed, or the more you handle them.
yeah. Actually, last year I found out that pine snakes will musk because a couple of the baby Kentucky pines I hatched out decided to
Hmm.
hate me and musk on me, which
Oh
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
had a pine do before. After hatching a couple
Mm.
other clutches of them and raising some up, nothing, and then you
Oh
get the one
really?
baby that,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
that's
hilarious.
interesting.
Yeah, I know I got black milks this year. Those are
That's
usually
cool.
fantastic, but
Yeah, because they
they
start
won't
off
bite you,
the
but they might musk you as
yeah,
babies. But that's about
they
it.
start off bicolor too, right? Like
Yep.
red and black.
Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
tricolor. Yeah, they'll be
Tricolor.
tricolor. Yep.
So okay, red, black, and white, or
Yeah, it's like a white. Obviously, like it fades fairly quickly, kind of
yeah.
thing. But anywhere from that kind of 12 to 24 months, they takes them to get that almost full black. Depending on the light and depending on the individual, you might see just the
Interesting.
faint little bit of bands,
Yeah.
but by the time they're three, they're pretty much black.
Yeah, my son was interested in getting one of those for a while, so he was kind of telling me about them. They're pretty interesting
Oh,
snakes. He has
they're awesome and room temperature, right? You just keep it honestly. Like if your room's anywhere in the 70s, they're fine.
yeah,
If you give them a hot spot of
perfect.
78, they'll sit on the side that's 72, even with food in
Mm-hmm.
them. Like they don't they don't love heat, but and they're active all the time. You can go in and grab them anytime you want, and you don't have to. They do have a good food response though. But other than
They
that, you
get
can
pretty,
pick them
they
up.
get fairly large too, right?
Yeah, my male's probably 5.5 foot. You can
Yeah.
get them up to 6 feet or even a touch
Hmm.
more if you really want to feed them. But they'll be like a 5.5 foot animal kind of thing. Females a bit
Just start
smaller.
slowing them down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It takes them a while though. Like they don't really mature until they're about five,
Yeah.
4 or 5. Yeah,
Just slow growers.
yeah,
Hmm. That's unique for a colubrid, though, right? I mean,
yeah,
usually a colubrid wants to stuff themselves to get as big as possible, as fast as possible.
yeah. They do eat well, but I think
Are they
it's
big
maybe it's the
pigs?
montane part of their kind of existence that might have something to do with it because it is
Are they
interesting, right?
are they large babies, neonates?
Yeah, like comparatively
Yeah.
to other milk snakes, they're definitely a
Yeah.
bit bigger.
Huh.
They're probably one of those that'll easily take pinkies when they hatch, and like within
Hmm.
not too long, you probably get them on the fuzzies kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I guess I'll see because I should have eggs here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Dom, you need black milks. You'll love them.
Number there's so many snakes that I would love to try. My big issue is that I only have so much space, and if there's
Eggs.
something I love more, they're moving out. As
Yep.
babies, I can keep a lot of babies, but then I grow them up when they hit a year and they need like that
Yep.
out of the 6 quart into like a small cage. Well, I only have so many of those.
Hmm.
And if there's something I prefer, and I prefer everything better than a colubrid, so they'll always be kicked out. So it's
Yeah.
kind of one of those things where I don't know, like some of the what is it, the gray bands. I think like I find locality gray bands to be pretty cool. I would consider keeping two.
Or the variable kings are cool too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
yeah, you
There's
lost me.
I like the
There's
milk
No.
snake
Okay.
phase ones.
but like the black milks are cool, just like Mexican black king snakes. They're cool. Are they cool enough for me to keep? I'm not sure.
Sure.
Oh, the
Not sure,
black milks
but
are cooler than Mexican blacks. That's for sure.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying they're both nice, and like I love indigos. I keep an indigo before, but the problem with an indigo is it gets so big. Now I wouldn't even it'd be like, well, am I willing to sacrifice a full size cage when I could have like a black headed python in there? You know,
Hmm.
like hands down, the indigo would leave for me anyway. So I don't know. I struggle with a lot of those things. Right, so it's like if I had a basin or an Amazon tree boa, I guarantee I would give it an adult cage. Something else would move out.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a snake that I have enough passion for it to kick out the other things that I like.
Hmm.
So I've kind of learned my niche, and boas and colubrids tend to not stay in my house. Um, Not that I don't like them, I just don't like them
Yeah.
over my other little
Sure.
niche things. And I keep trying different species, but I know my niche, like Indonesian slash
Australia.
Australian pythons that are semi arboreal to arboreal. There's
Hmm.
only a few that have lasted that are not like that, like a few of the liasis that aren't really arboreal. Woma pythons, and I'm telling you, Woma pythons, I don't think I'd ever have more than two.
You have
Like, I
white
don't think,
lips.
no, but they are number two on my list of to get. So my number one are green trees, locality green trees, white
Mhm.
lips, savus. I'm trying to think of what else would go under that.
Yeah, I have a
Probably blackheads.
I have just a love hate relationship with northerns. I love northern white lip pythons. I've had two or three pairs now. Every time Ryan produces some, I want to get them, raise them up, and they're gorgeous, but man, they're just assholes. And I'm like, if I have to go in this cage and get bit every single time, I'd rather put something in here that's red and pretty and doesn't bite me every single freaking time. Because Amazons are they'll bluff more than anything. A white lip can just look at you from the other end of the cage and launch its entire body out of the cage at you. Like
Oh yeah.
it gets annoying after a while. Not all of them are like that. Some of them I had are very tractable, but um,
Tyrone
some
has
of
a
them are not.
pair right now that's like really tractable that he got. I think
Mhm.
it came from somebody out east that got him from the U.S. They're what? They're like 5 feet right now, and you can go pull them out, and they're fine.
That's cool.
But then he has like a massive southern that he just keeps as a pet that somebody gave him basically,
Yeah.
and that thing just like eyes you up. And the head
Mhm.
on the guy is like that big.
Big,
It's
huh?
a
Yeah.
large black white
They can
lip.
get like 8 feet. Those southerns, they can get
Yeah,
big.
it's up there. You definitely
I
don't
Yeah.
find
want
if you have
to
like
go in there.
2 or 3 snakes in your whole collection that just light you up for anything, they're fun as long as you don't have too many of them, right? So,
Yeah,
like I
that's
have, I'd say 95% of my collection I can handle. I can pull them out and put them in a bin without getting bitten. Some will hiss, and then there's always those 3 or 4 that are just like complete a holes, no matter what you do. Like
they're the
they're
pretty
just,
ones, though, aren't they?
eh,
It's
yeah,
always the pretty ones.
yeah.
Some of my prettiest snakes are like the couple little assholes that I have, and I'm like, okay, I don't need more assholes unless they look like you. So,
Exactly. Well, it's because you tolerate it because they're so pretty,
yeah,
right?
yes,
Uh,
exactly.
but that's why, like to me, white lips, I'd be okay with it. But I also wouldn't have an army of 10 white lips that light
No,
me up all the time because that would be way too much. But
yeah,
I'd love to have a trio or a pair or of each, right? And so they're very high up on the list. The question is whether I'm going to go down the wild caught route or the captive bred, and I haven't quite decided that, but they're definitely coming
Well,
in the collection.
there's
Like I
probably
just
going to be
got,
some
yeah.
captive bred
Just get a pair of
southerns
each.
available soon.
yeah, but the problem is the price. I don't the captive bred price I think is insane. It's
Ryan's pretty reasonable with his prices. If
we can't buy on your like
Well,
whatever
you
goes on in the
could,
States.
but you're going to
Oh,
have
I
to pay
guess
for
we could,
CITES.
eh?
yeah, I was
can.
gonna say with white
True.
lips, you should be able to.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't even
that's
think about
CITES.
that. I
Yeah,
just
they're not
super easy
Australian.
to get. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's very true.
just
Very, very
depends how
true.
long
because
U.S. Fish and Wildlife decides to approve it.
well, isn't it like there's a couple companies now
Yeah,
that do that, right? If you just go to them and they do all the paperwork and everything, and they
Yeah,
he
set it
but
just
up.
but Ryan would have to
I
supply
would
them with some proof kind of thing that they are.
I
Maybe
would
it's
do it
easier
myself.
because they're
I've
commonly done, but I tried to get Bahamas up, and the U.S. Fish and
Uh,
Wildlife didn't love the
didn't like that.
information or whatever, even though they had like, hey, these animals like were bred by this
Yeah,
person. Here's the adults, and it wasn't good enough
yeah.
kind of thing.
Well, you're getting them all from Murray, so he has a lot of
I was trying to
documentation.
get them from Steve, who had gotten
Oh,
them from Jeff, maybe, or some
okay.
from, or no, he got them from Brian Potts, who had the paperwork on them and stuff, but
Hmm.
still wasn't good enough apparently. So even though
Yeah.
there are animals that produce some like take 10, 15 years sometimes to produce or to
The
get
China
like
Bothar's a little bit sketchy too. I had a couple guys from Dubai who wanted to get a lot of my animals, but we couldn't figure out, from Tom Crutchfield how to like source some documents for the China Bothras because who knows if there ever was.
yeah,
But
but
that's just,
yeah.
they'll question all of that stuff.
But they were
So,
able, but we were able to get like Cody Joe and
notes.
his partner, or business partner guy, was able to get the Kylobothris from Jeff, and actually in 2 shipments because they got the 6 Bahamas up legally. Like there's CITES paperwork with it, kind of thing. It's on Jeff's website, and then there's, I think, and then they also bring up Dominicans at some point, and somebody's brought up Dominicans quite a few times. Like Dominicans are
Mhm.
regularly they're like the most common one that you see on the
Right.
CITES records, so it's kind of weird that yeah. But then it's U.S. Fish and Wildlife, right? Like we like
Mhm.
Dom's able to ship stuff to Japan, no issues. There are our CITES people approve it pretty easily, kind of thing. But depends who you get, right?
you
What
just have to. Sorry, go
what
ahead.
are white lips going for up there?
So I don't know the price of captive bred because
Yeah.
there's, as far as I know, 1 or so people that breeds them here. I mean, Michael
It's
Islam
like
has gotten
Cody, that's
another
it, right?
clutch.
Oh yeah.
Has Cody
Well,
bred them
two
recently?
then. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cody bred them
Cody's
last year.
2 years, I
Yeah.
think, right?
I think they might be the only 2
Or
that have
1 year.
success. I don't know. I'm gonna guess. Tell me if I'm wrong. They're probably going for what 1,500 ish.
Cody's.
What
I
did
think
he?
they were Northerns went for 12 each.
And then
Which
he
Okay.
wasn't
has
that bad, I don't think.
the Southerns prior, right?
And then I think he has Southerns, but I'm not sure if he's bred them. But then I know Mickey bred them, and I'm guessing he's. Actually, I don't even want to guess how much he's asking.
Yeah,
But
with Mickey, I've never asked him because I know I won't be able to afford him.
Understood, yeah.
But while caught, like if I bought it off the list, and we've all seen the
650,
lists,
even some like
no,
I know they're
way,
probably
way lower.
lower, but like from a retail shop, wild caught
Okay,
650 to 850, and probably blacks are more,
okay.
something
So
like that.
if I ordered them from the list, from directly from the the importer, I would be paying 125 for the cheap ones are the Southers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh, yeah, the
maybe
Northerns, yeah.
250 to 260 for the Northern, but then you'd be paying probably about 25% over that for shipping, for the
That's
cost
still
and little
cheap.
things like that. They're
But
they're
that's
relative.
yeah, that's like the list that I used to see back in the day in like the like 2010, 2011, like those are the prices even for green tree pythons back then. I can get like BX for like 125 and then everything else is like 150, 175, 225 at the most.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a BIAC on that list right now is about 225. And again, it's
Yeah.
Canadian dollars, so remove 35-40% for you guys.
Hmm.
So they're relatively cheap, but that list has a price that then you need to pay for the import fees that is shared amongst
Yeah.
everybody that does it, right? Or shipping.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as I said, add 25 to 30% on that price and it kind of gives you an idea of the actual cost. But it's I don't know. I from what I can tell, most people that import white lips seem to have some pretty good luck with them. It just takes a long time to get them established and a long
Yeah.
time to get them breeding. So you could keep your imports for 6-7 years before you get success. But I don't know if you're that much quicker with captive bred. It's still an easily a 4 or 5 years before they're ready, right?
Sure. It sounds like a
So
waiting game regardless. Just get them when they're young so they establish in your
exactly.
collection.
So
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
they're on my list. I just haven't decided what I'm gonna get. But I'd say
Well, you got
they're
the
just
rings. You got the rings to
I
play with for
love
now.
rings are cool too. Yeah, I just love the northerns. Just that gold with the white, black head with the white face is like, oh man, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
I got a pair of
Rings are cool.
rings from Michael there. So they're nice, but see, like rings were like number 7 or 8 on my list. But somehow I made a deal with Michael, and I mean they cost me nothing. I just had to ship a couple of snakes for them, so it's hard to
Mm,
say no because they are on the list. But I don't think I would ever get more than a pair of rings. They're
sure.
cool. They're cool, but they're not really arboreal. They're almost more fossorial than
Yes,
anything,
that's
right?
what I've
So
heard too. And
like
are they
I
a
barely see them.
little bit nippy,
They're
Yeah,
twitchy.
but they
twitchy?
eat well
Very
because of
twitchy.
it. They eat
From
very
the
well.
way people describe them, it's just I like the way they look, especially when they're young. I don't think it's a species for me for what I want in my room because I only have so much room. Like you're saying, you got to have to be picky and choosy.
Yeah, but I have the advantage that I got him half with I guess Shan, which is kind of like my business partner, if you want to call it like
Mhm.
that. So often when I'll decide that I want to move him, but I still want my fingers in that pot, I just
Yeah,
move him to him, and we can kind of keep going. Just like we have scrub pythons, and
I do
I
the same thing.
technically own half, but I've I've never taken care of him whatsoever. But the day he breeds them, I'm going to say, yeah, I bred him too. I mean, half
Yeah,
of the snakes
exactly.
are mine, even though I've literally never done anything. He was telling me the scrubs were finally locked up, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I got locks on my scrubs, but
There you
they've
go. Yeah,
literally never lived here. I've
put my
never
name on
fed
that
them.
too.
I've basically touched them once or twice, and that's it, right? So yeah, but there's certain species like that they're cool, but it's like womas. I would never have more than one pair. Blackheads, I'd probably only have one pair, but only because I can't afford more than one pair. But like, there's different species. Like if I had, I don't know, diamonds, I'd probably have 10 pairs if I could afford them. Like there's
Mhm.
certain ones that you just know you're just
You love
so
them.
much more attracted to, right? Like for some reason, Amazon's was really big on you, and you just kept getting more and more, right? There's certain like carpets for me used to be my entire collection. I'd say carpets now is about 50% of my collection. And as I go, I'm slowly thinning out carpets and adding a little bit more Morelias slash Indo-Australian arboreal pythons. Somehow the rings got in there, but the rings aren't even. I think I got the rings because Shan kept talking about how he loves them and he wanted them. So I was like, I guess I can get them. I'll get them.
Yeah, I mean
And
they fit within that little niche too.
somewhat, but they're not arboreal, right? They're like the
That's
opposite.
good.
And
Yeah.
like,
But
so
that's what a white lip's gonna be like too, right? Kind of. Like probably a little
Even
white
bit.
when they're
lips are
young,
There's
white
even when
lips
they're
are
young,
semi-arboreal.
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I guess we'll find out. You'll
yeah,
be the judge when you get some white lips.
yeah. The white lips that I had perching for them, and they would climb often.
Yeah, no,
So
it'd be
they were all over the place.
yeah, those would be good. Yeah, actually, yeah. Seeing Ty's big black white lip out,
Hmm.
it's definitely perched on
Ooh, it
stuff.
likes to go up. Yeah, they may not like perch like a green tree python, but if you have like a big cork tube or something, it'll go up and like kind of curl up on the top of that. You know.
Yeah, yeah, that's what my Kylobothras do. Like, I got some
Hmm.
logs in there, and she'll sit right underneath the heat panel, like coiled like a green tree sometimes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like and obviously other times she's just kind of hunkered down in the hide underneath the heat, or right beside the hide, still under the heat, kind of thing. But yeah, no,
Hmm.
it's cool when you see those snakes that are like they're kind of arboreal ish, but then when they're
Yeah.
actually doing it, it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love arboreal snakes. So I'm right there with you, Dom. Like I completely understand. Just to go in a room, stressful day, turn on the light, and just see all your snakes out, just gorgeous. Just it's just there's nothing like that. There's nothing worse than someone that's like, oh, I heard you have snakes. Can I see? So you take them into your room, and literally you're just showing them dirt or a puppy pad or paper towels or whatever you use. And it's just like yeah, it's under here somewhere. And you got to like dig in there. It's so much more impressive when you open the door and they're just like, what is this?
That being said, most of my animals are nocturnal, right? So if you show
Yep.
them anytime during the day,
During the
they're all
day,
in a
yeah,
hide box or in
I
a corner,
know.
like in a perch, completely the corner. So you still like
Yep.
the room is dead during the day. There's
Yeah.
nothing moving, right? So there might be like one head that pokes out of the top
Hmm.
hide or something, just looking because they saw
That
you
is
moving,
true.
and then it goes back in, right? So at nighttime, like after we finish this show, now it's been dark for
Hmm.
like 2-3 hours now, right? It's
They're
going to
going to
be
be active.
gorgeous, guaranteed.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
during the day, you show anybody your collection, it's just like they actually do something just at night.
Yeah. No, and I mean, most of the action, I mean, most of the time I'm like hanging out or doing anything is always in the evening anyway. So very rarely do people even come over to my house during the day, unless it's my office. It's at the shop. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Going in there at nighttime when everyone's on the move is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's always that's why I try to have a room that has a bit of everything. You
Hmm.
go in and the pine snakes are out cruising, or the subocs that are supposed to be nocturnal. Usually, as soon as you walk in the room, they kind of start cruising around again, kind of thing. Black milk,
Hmm.
it could be out any time of day. It doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
night or day. It could be cruising. It could be hiding. You don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. Michael's collection's a little bit different though. It's what's the name? Is it Moses that made Noah's
Is it?
Ark?
Yeah. No, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I
I
mean, Michael
used to
Moses, kind of a
Ark.
synonym.
That's
Sorry, what
funny.
was that?
Yeah,
I used to call that Noah's Ark syndrome. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's a hundred
Oh yeah,
percent.
because I got
Yeah.
Ty's blue tongues downstairs now. I
Yeah.
got a pair of Herman's tortoises. I got a ton of yellow spotted
Oh,
newts
my
that I'm
son used to
raising
have a
up.
Hermes. Those are pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm trying to diversify what I'm breeding. So yeah,
Uh,
maybe eventually I
I
could do
give
You've
that
been
you
too.
keeping
like
for a long time.
Pardon me.
Have you been keeping for a long time, Michael?
Yeah, like I still have my pair of Kenyans that I got when I was 10. So I got
Hmm.
those in 2011, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I've been keeping, and then obviously like end of high school, I got back
Oh
into
yeah,
the
that's
reptile
that's
thing
yeah. It's
after.
not as cool in high school.
Yeah, well, it kind of got cool in
Too many
grade 12.
girls and stuff,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. Then I found NPR in grade 12 and kind of
Oh yeah,
never stopped. It hasn't stopped
yeah, yeah.
since.
I think I found NPR around that, like right. I think they started 2011, right? And I think I started listening to them around 2000, between 2012 and 2014, something like that. Really started listening to them. I didn't even know what a podcast was.
yeah.
Me
I
too.
remember hearing him. You hear him and you're like, one day, man.
I
Can
thought it
you
was just like a
imagine
forum
being
or
on
something.
there?
I didn't know what it was. I was just like, I don't want to go type with other people. Like, I'll just keep to myself. And then I started listening. I'm like, oh, okay, it's like a radio kind of talk show. Okay. So, no, and then I just got obsessed and I wanted to hear everything. And I became like a podcast junkie. And I was just like listening to everyone's podcast all the time. And then I just got so busy that I just wouldn't have time to like do that anymore. So I just try to listen here and there if I see like someone that pops on, like doesn't matter what show it is or who's doing it. If it's someone I want to hear and kind of learn from them, then and it's cool to kind of go back and I mean, you can probably type most people's names into YouTube and find a video on, you know, at least the more mainstream or bigger guys, and kind of learn a lot from them just by doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why when people say that they don't know stuff, it's kind of, or like they can't find the information. Like,
It's at their fingertips. Hmm.
exactly. You just have to kind of, I get it being tough because like I know I've listened to quite a few NPRs and every
Hmm.
other podcast out there at this point. Definitely not all of them, but like there's a lot of information
There's
out
a
there,
lot now. Yeah. Hmm.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can listen to Nick Mutton 10 years ago, or Ryan Young 10 years ago, or Jeff
Hmm.
Murray, right? And
Yep.
there's some real gems out there that the guys have only done one or two podcasts that turn out to be really good, and they just haven't come back on.
Back in the day, Jeff Godbold with his Corrales Radio, you know, Jeff Murray was on that. That's how I learned about him back in the day. You know, so like they get people on too that maybe you haven't heard about, and then you're just like, oh wow, I didn't know he was literally interested in all the species that I like, or I'm interested now in those species because I never heard about them before. You know, so it kind of sparks those interests, and you start doing your research. And you know, I think that's where a lot of us get addicted to, is not just the animals themselves, but learning about everything that's involved with them, whether that be, you know, the natural history, geography, biology, you know, like there's so many different little niches that you can go down. Um, and it's kind of fun to just go down those rabbit holes and learn about all those little things. And then when you kind of start running out of stuff that, like, you know, hits that dopamine response, then you learn about this one and you start going down this rabbit hole, and you just, by the time you look back, you know hundreds of species that you've dove into, and then you really know so much about, you know. And that passion teaches, you can learn so much with just passion, you know. It just drives you. You know, you can go to a college, but if you're not passionate about what you're interested in, you may not retain that information. But the other person who didn't go to college, who is so passionate about the same subject, is probably a complete expert because they're so into whatever it is that they want to learn about. And I really enjoy just learning about stuff, and I try to stay humble about stuff. So if someone's like, hey, I don't think, I have a different opinion, I want to know, I want to listen, I want to, some of those things could apply to me, maybe they don't, but I still take it with a grain of salt. Like, okay, well, it's something that I now never heard, I'm going to take that, I'm going to keep all this information, and if something pops up, I can kind of dig into my little bag of tricks and see if maybe something that I heard or learned from someone else may work.
For sure. Yeah, that's I think that's how a lot of us kind of go by, right? You go
Mhm.
by kind of those basic things of just
It's
kind of
fun, you know. It's fun to keep, you know. And I say Noah's Ark syndrome only because I think a lot of us go through that. We kind of have to go through that. I definitely did. You get onesies and twosies of
I
everything,
did too, man.
and yeah, you just have this like super diverse collection, and then you start to like look at it, and you're like, okay, this is a lot of work. What do I really love? Right. And then you start to kind of dial it back, dial it back, dial it back. And then you may grow again, and it may dial back, dial back, dial back. And you kind of ebbs and flows until you kind of filter and go through this. Okay, these are the species I like. I'm going to stick here. Occasionally, I'll veer off a little bit because I'm a little ADHD or whatever. But I know that I can kind of reel myself back in because these are my core, you know. And I think once we get to that point, you know, then you can truly start to, when you have a few species versus, you know, 20 species, you can really learn more about those species, I think, because you have so many more samples, you have such a large sample size, you know. When you have a lot of species, you typically have less of each species. So it's just something cool that I like. And it's, you know, I can move and match different snakes over here and there because they're all the same species, just completely different colors and patterns. So I like just having, you know, right now at my house, I just have the Dominicans and the Amazons. Um, Maybe downsizing some Dominicans here soon too, just because I really want to focus on the Amazons. It's really something that I like lose sleep over, just thinking about the different possibilities that are out there. You know, people don't realize, like, I remember in the beginning stages of ball pythons, the the curiosity people had with, hey, did you look at this little checkered belly? There's little yellow spots here, and there's these little black markers here, and they're really like, really, like, what do you see in this, right? And then like you fast forward to 10 years, 15 years later, and you're just like, holy shit, like this really did come into fruition. I had never would have thought. So it's like, I don't want to poo-poo that when it's just a pattern repeating itself. So I'm going to be at the forefront of learning these things in the Amazon tree boas, so that later on, I mean, we're going to figure this stuff out, like there are some polygenic stuff to the snakes, but I think a lot of times people use that as a cop out because they just don't know, and they just say it's all polygenic. I don't know, you know? And so I think the more we work with them, the more we're going to realize that some of this stuff actually does work and makes sense. And there is a rhyme and rhythm to it. We just didn't understand it. 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it takes, we're starting to learn. And maybe now that like we have AI starting to get involved, like we may even be able to learn some of this information even quicker. No matter, we just don't understand how that's going to be implemented yet. But I do think that we're going to start learning things a lot faster than we ever have.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I was going to ask a quick question regarding boa breeding. I just wanted to know what's your train of thoughts when you pair up your males with your females. Number one, are you only pairing up when you know she's about to go, or
Mhm.
are you putting them in there all the time, same male with the same female for 6 months until you eventually hit it? And I'm asking that because I've been hearing multiple times now that boas only have so much sperm and it takes them a long
Yeah.
time to build it. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious to see what your train of thought is and if you feel like that's also something that's going on with Amazons.
I do agree with that statement because I have noticed that if I try to do a sire to two different females, that sometimes the litter may not be as large, or I may get some more slugs in those litters. Maybe it's just a coincidence that that happened. I don't know. But I typically try to pair up one male with one female. Um, and I just, if it's, I could be a bit stubborn. So if I'm just like, hey, I really want this pair to go, if I put them up early, right? Let's say I put them together in January, they may be together through July, right? They may be all together, just separate them to feed sometimes, maybe not, depending on how they're acting and what I'm willing to do. Sometimes I just keep them together forever until I see something. I try to like force it, right? I have been known to just keep them in there, and then I just go through the cycle again, how I do my room, and wait till next year and see what happens there. So I really want to make sure it's like, I have this one snake. It's like really extreme calico named Freak Show, and he came from Rory Gresco, and I really want to breed him to a calico tiger female that also has a very extreme calico phenotype, that came from Keith McPeak, but was produced by John Martin. Um, so I have these animals together for a long time, and I don't want to mix and match. I want to know who the sire and the dam is. That's important for me to know, um, and I think that it's harder to move. Some like Roy Gresco says that he will. He knows very specifically how his females act. He will see the signs, move the male in. Male's only in there for a short time, then he moves the male out, feeds, and then moves him into another female. You know, I I'm just not that good, right? So I'm just gonna kind of watch, and if I don't see the signs, then I just kind of leave them in there. But sometimes I will see the signs maybe in a different time of year, maybe like in the fall. So it's like, are they having, are they cycling again? Like what's going on here? Did they not cycle? Is this a late cycle? Is it an early cycle? And so if I do see weird signs like that, I may take the initiative to just say, it's October, but I'm just going to pair them up to see what happens because this looks weird to me. So I will do stuff like that here and there, but most of the time it's like I'm going to pair them up. I always get through the holidays and stuff. And then I kind of start thinking about what I'm going to start putting together. May do some preliminary pairings just to make sure I do have the correct sex together, if they're newer and I'm probing them and they're tweeners or anything like that, just to verify everything and decide, well, that's not a girl, that's a boy. So I got to fix this pairing for the season anyways. And it's usually earlier that if that's any of that stuff happens. So by like March, I really have it kind of like figured out what I'm going to pair up and who I'm going to pair with whom. And yeah, I just have a good time and I just let them do their thing and we'll see what happens. I think I have 4 or 5 pairs right now. And then I might have another green tree python clutch at my buddy's house. I think we're going to pair that female up again well, it is June, end of June, beginning of July. I think that's when she was locking last year. Yeah, and those babies are already established, so I'll get some babies sent over to me. I'll just have like one wall full of green tree pythons. The rest will be Amazons. That's kind of how I want to see it. And then I think I'm kind of at the point where I might move on some of my Dominicans just because I do like them. I enjoy them, but like you said about the looking in and seeing them, sometimes they are pretty hidden. Other times they're out. Often, and they're pretty bold when they're adults. Like they don't really care if you see them or not. Like some terrestrial species don't want you to see them. They don't really care. They don't give a shit. But they're messy and they take larger meals and they go to the bathroom more. And it's just like, okay, I was trying to challenge myself to see if I could breed these, if I could get the babies going. I've done that 4 times now. Do I want to do it more? Is it something I really enjoy? Is it something I think the hobby needs more of? Because Nick's always kind of put that in my ear. Like, if you're good at breeding and you breed these common species, you should have at least like 1 or 2 extra like exotic species that the hobby doesn't typically see, just to kind of keep that in the hobby, right? He thinks it's like our duty to kind of like pick a species that a lot of people don't work with. Like if you're good at breeding these like ball pythons and carpet pythons and Amazon tree boas or whatever, like fairly easier species to breed, um, then maybe have blackhead, or maybe have some cool Janseni, or tiger rat snakes, or something that like you don't see as much of in the hobby, just to make sure that like that stuff is still getting reproduced too. Because in 10 years, who knows what the hobby is going to look like, and we don't want it to be just like ball pythons and crested geckos.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why I
love
kind
that
of.
statement.
Yeah, I think Dom does the same with his collection. I know I try to do with mine, where like I finally got another pair of Sandboas because I had my one
Mhm.
pair and I never held any back, which I probably should have because they're actually not too bad at wholesale. Like they're like Sandboas are easy and they're good beginner
Yeah.
snakes, right? Like you always have that outlet. But I love keeping that like niche stuff, right? Like I got the
Mhm.
Kentucky pines and I've held some of those back and got the black milks. Should probably hold a pair back from them. Just they're fun snakes to keep.
Yeah,
Bahamas though are my main kind of one that I'm trying to do for the hobby kind of thing. Even though
that's cool. You
I
have a
don't,
very unique collection. Yeah, that's
yeah,
not like if you were to like look at your collection, there's no like it's just like random,
yeah. And then
which
some
is cool.
ox, West Texas.
Yeah, like okay,
Yeah, held back
Texas
a pair of
Ransom.
those.
What's going
And
on
then
here?
there's like
But that's cool.
newts and
Oh
fish
yeah,
and all these
Yeah,
other weird ass things.
yeah,
yeah.
Pac-Man frogs and tortoises. Like none of it makes sense.
I
yeah,
mean, I've had, I've bred leopard geckos and crested geckos and tokay geckos and dart frogs and like you kind of ball pythons. Like you kind of just go through a little bit of everything. I've kept a lot of different species, and then you kind of just figure out like, okay, I've kept those for a while, and I think that if you kind of like lose that spark for it, it's better to move it on to someone who has that same spark than just to keep it around just because you feel obligated to. I think that the animal would be better off with someone who has that little bit more passion for it. So that's kind of what. I tell myself like, oh, okay, well, I really like the Dominicans. They're fun. They're gorgeous. Like some of them are just like at nighttime, dude. Some of them are so bright orange or so nice red. Um, but do I like it more than this other stuff? And they do take up more room, and they're a little bit more work. So it's like, okay, Randy, well, if you want to make your life a little easier, why don't you do? Let's consolidate a little bit, right? Let's either put these on loan to someone who's more passionate if they're willing to work with them. That's something that I'd be willing to do, or sell them to someone for a good price if I know that they're going to be reproduced because they're all proven adults,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I have a few holdbacks with them too.
I think with the animals too, you keep it's one thing once you bred them once or twice, and then you're like, well, if I don't like them that much, why am I keeping them? Like I've done it. Now it's like check mark done. Like give you an example. I bred spotted pythons 3 years in a row. Those
Mm-hmm.
things were little like deadly killing machines that bite anything and wrap everything. And eventually I was like, why the heck am I keeping these? Like
Yeah.
I bred them, I got it done. And
Hmm.
all they do is try to eat anything from the hooks to the thongs and like, they don't really do anything for me. So I moved them on. But now I know that I never, ever need to get a spotted python again. I've done it.
Hmm.
I've been there. I kept Angolan pythons. Like, Angolans were cool. They were pretty. But the entire time I felt like I was keeping ball pythons, and I
Sure.
just, I
Those are
bred them. I bred them 2 years in a row, and I was like, okay, I'll move him on to Shan, and then Shan bred him once, right? And then he's like, I don't really care much for him. I'm like, well, it's a stellar trio, and then we moved him on, right?
yep.
And but now it's been done, and I love the idea of doing a new species, getting it done, and then once you've bred it a couple times, if you want to keep breeding it and breeding, then it's your thing. If you
Exactly.
kind of lose that interest, though, you know
Yep.
what? There's nothing wrong. Move it on to somebody
No,
else and try other things.
100%. And you'll know too. Like it usually takes about that. Like the first breeding, you're like, was this a
That was
fluke?
cool.
Was it an accident? I want to see if I can do this again. And then you do it again. And some of us kind of need that, like, okay, if I do it 3 or 4 times, I know what I'm doing. And so, like, that's like for me, it's like if I'm breeding a new species, I'm going to breed it like 3 or 4 times to see if, like, I know what I'm doing. Um, but, I've been there, done that. And it's like, there's so many different phenotypes within the Dominicans. It's like I could have a million holdbacks. I don't have the room for that. I don't want, that's not the focus of my collection. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to keep them and just enjoy them. But if there's someone that comes along that has that passion for that species, I'm definitely going to try to work with that person in order to keep them going, keep that available in the hobby, because there's only a few of us in the states that produce them. So if people are like on the Facebook groups and stuff and they're asking, you know, Chad, um, Tom Crutchfield doesn't really do that anymore. So it was just like Chad, me, and then there would be like a handful of other guys that had some luck. I know Leah over at Davenport, she's having some good luck. And I know they're doing like the little calico stuff too. But yeah, and so it's like as long as there's people working with them and there's other people doing it, then I feel like maybe I can take a step back, let them enjoy it, give them the spotlight there, and then just work with the species that I love.
Yeah, for sure. Dom, do you have any more questions, or you're falling
Just say, hey,
asleep?
Uh,
Dom's free whenever.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm fading away. But in my defense, I got up at 4. I'm on shift number 4 in a row, and
Yeah.
I'm working at. I got to get up at 4 tomorrow morning for another 12-hour shift. So I'm
That's
gonna
rough,
die
man.
at some point. Um, Hey, I'm off for 4 days after. I
Yeah.
want to obviously talk green trees. I feel like I honestly I wanted to do more Amazon and really cover it well, and I think we covered it pretty well. Actually, that was
Yeah.
actually a really really great show. So I'm gonna just drop the green trees and say either we bring you back on and do green trees, or we'll just we'll do it another time. I don't really have another question.
Cool. I appreciate you guys having me.
But the show was great. Mike, do you have a last question you want to ask, or are you happy with
uh,
that?
I don't really think so, because I think I know the answer to if you wanted to keep any other Kylobothras, and I think for now you probably are kind of good on those, unless you. I
Well,
was gonna be like, well,
yeah,
you could do 4-die, but that's even more work because you have to assist feed those things
yeah.
for
I
like
mean,
2 years.
it. I have talked to some people, and the Jamaicans are kind of like, if someone offered me a pair of Jamaicans, I may do that, but that would have to be gifted to me because most of them are out of my state, anyways. So it's like
There's always
the
Bobby Pebbles.
probability of that. But I have put some fillers in some people's ears that know that, like, if they want to put them in someone's hands that could potentially breed them, like, I like a challenge. Like, people know that, like, I don't like to always be challenged in the moment, but I know it's good for me. And I seek challenges because I know it always typically leads to something of more value. So,
Awesome,
Very
awesome.
nice. Randy, do you want to just drop any of your contacts just so people can reach out to you, buy your Amazons, annoy the crap out of you, whatever you'd like?
yeah, that's fine. Um, you can add me on Facebook if you want. If we don't have a lot of mutual friends, Facebook is more personal stuff for me, but I'm on there. I know some people don't have Instagram. So just look up my name, which is down here, Randy Pegues, and you'll find me on Facebook. Um, I do have a website, but right now it's kind of under construction just because I sell it so quickly, so I can't ever keep up on the inventory. But if you want to go on that website, I believe it is stoicarboreals.com. There are some good pictures in the gallery and stuff like that, so you can see some of the breeders that I'm working with. I need to update that. It's been a couple of years at least since I've done that, but at least you can kind of see some of the animals. Also, Instagram is probably where I'm most active. That's where I probably sell most of my animals. That's probably where I engage most with conversation. If people reach out to me, I usually try to always respond to them. Talking snakes is a passion for me, so it's not like a drag. If I don't respond to you right away, it's because I'm a really busy guy. I have a lot going on all the time. I have two companies that have about 12 to 15 employees apiece. Plus, I do the snakes as a business on the side as well, and then I have 5 kids, so I'm all over the place. But Instagram is the best place, and that would be Randall Piggies. So it's just RandallPegues, and you can find me on Instagram there. You'll see a red Amazon tree boa as my profile picture. Go ahead and add me. I'll accept everyone that adds me on there. So follow me, and I'll try to follow you back.
Awesome. I'll have all that in the show notes for any of the listeners.
I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, thank
Thanks,
you
Randy.
for
It was
coming
awesome to
on.
talk to you, and I'll let Dom close it out.
Actually, I was going to ask Michael, do you want to do our advertisement because you haven't done
Yeah.
it this
Well,
show
actually,
right before we
I'll
close it
say
out, or
it.
did
I'll
you?
say it now, but I'm gonna just record it and plug it in at the beginning.
Okay, you want to just do that then?
Well, yeah, I'll just do that. I'll plug it in at the beginning and make it
All right,
sound
because
like
I
I
was going to say you
did it.
completely forgot it, but
I know. I
we're
realized
going to
that
put
about
it on
halfway
you.
through.
All right, fair enough. Randy, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. That was
Sure.
awesome. Please don't click the leave button. We'll chat for a minute after because we just
Of
need to make
course.
sure it uploads.
Yep.
To everybody listening live, thanks, man. I appreciate you guys jumping on. Click the follow button, the subscribe, whatever doorbell thingies on YouTube it
Yep.
is. I know it's not a doorbell. And for anybody listening on the podcast, the live episode always appears a week later. Although
So
this one
this
is
will
really the
be
episode for this Sunday, which might be in a week and a half later for the Spotify, for the Apple podcast and all that kind of crap. So it's gonna be live on YouTube, but it's gonna also be discharged in a week and a half. So to everybody, please subscribe, please log on, help us out in any way you can. Thanks for logging on. Appreciate everybody listening. Randy, we appreciate you. Appreciate your knowledge. It was awesome. And to everybody, have a great night.
It was an honor.
Ciao.